Today, we're diving into a story that's going to change everything you think you know about the dawn of Chinese civilization. Seriously, it's a history that was deliberately buried, a truth so shocking it was kept under wraps for 3,000 years, and it was only rediscovered by complete accident. So just keep this question in your head as we go, because the story we're about to unpack isn't just about ancient history. It's about how history itself is made, and how it can be completely unmade.
You know, the image we usually get of ancient China is, well, it's pretty serene. We hear about wise, sage kings, a smooth, continuous culture, and the deep philosophies of Confucianism. It's this picture of an elegant, unbroken tradition. But what if that picture is totally wrong?
This quote from the book that inspired this explainer just nails it. Archaeology is like a deeply buried mirror, reflecting our unfamiliar image. So today, we're going to look into that mirror. And I'm telling you, the reflection staring back at us is, well, it's nothing like we expected. And frankly, it's terrifying. Okay, so our story really kicks off back in 1899. Archaeologists are digging at a site called Yanshu, which turned out to be the last capital of the ancient Shang Dynasty. And there, they found something absolutely incredible. Thousands and thousands of animal bones and turtle shells, all covered in strange carvings. These weren't just old bones. They were a lost library. So what in the world are oracle bones? Well, you can think of them as the Shang king's cosmic telephone. They were a direct line to their gods and ancestors. They'd carve a question right onto a bone, take a red-hot poker to it, and the cracks that formed were read as divine answers. It was their way of seeing the future.
But here's the crucial part. They were also the kingdom's official records. These inscriptions, which are the earliest Chinese writing we've ever found, acted like a super detailed logbook for the royal court. And they asked about everything. I mean, will the harvest be good? Are we going to win the next battle? Hey, does this toothache mean I ticked off an ancestor? It was a completely unfiltered window into their world.
And as scholars spent decades deciphering these thousands of messages, they found something huge. A state practice so central to the Shang way of life, yet it was completely, utterly missing from every single historical text written after them. A horrifying, bloody secret had been totally erased. The secret was this. The Shang dynasty was built on a state religion of mass human sacrifice. And we're not talking about an occasional desperate act in a time of crisis. No, this was a routine, industrial-scale government program, and it was all meticulously recorded on those oracle bones. Just look at these numbers, compiled directly from the bones themselves. During the reign of just one king, Wu Ding, the records show over 9,000 people were sacrificed. In total, from the bones we've found so far, we have records for over 13,000 victims. And you gotta remember, that's just from the fraction of bones that survived 3,000 years in the ground.
Let that number really sink in for a second. 9,021 people sacrificed as official state ritual under just one king. This wasn't some fringe cult. This was the absolute heart of Shang royal power and religion. This was the government.
And the sacrifices were everywhere. They were woven into the very fabric of life and death. If you were building a new temple, you buried people in the foundations to make it holy. Worshipping the ancestors, you'd offer up humans as food or servants for them. And when a king died, his whole entourage, servants, companions, they were all killed and buried with him for the afterlife.
And the contrast here is just staggering. On the one hand, you have these incredible, beautiful Shang bronze vessels, some of the most sophisticated art from the ancient world. And on the other hand, you have what they were used for. This exact bronze pot you're seeing, a yuan, was excavated with a human head still inside it, a ritual offering.
So, you have to ask, who could possibly put a stop to this? Well, way out on the western edge of the Shang world lived another group of people, the Zhou. For a while, they were loyal to the Shang, sometimes even victims of their sacrificial raids. But eventually, they rose up to end this kingdom of terror.
And make no mistake, this wasn't just another war over land or power. This was a fundamental clash of civilizations, a battle for the very soul of a culture. For the Shang, religion was all about appeasing angry gods with ritual killing. The Zhou? They were the complete opposite. They banned human sacrifice and built their society on morality and humanism. They introduced this radical new idea called the mandate of heaven, where a ruler's right to rule came from being virtuous, not from how many people they killed.
The Zhou victory was a true revolution. They didn't just want to take over. They wanted to create a completely different kind of world, one based on a human-centered worldview that would become the foundation for a whole new civilization.
But here's where the story takes its final, craziest turn. The Zhou didn't just beat the Shang on the battlefield. They launched a systematic, deliberate campaign to erase the entire memory of their bloody religion from history. This was one of the most successful and longest-lasting cover-ups of all time. The man behind this great erasure was the Duke of Zhou, one of the founders of the dynasty. He understood something crucial. To build his new, human-focused world, he had to completely destroy the old one. He was terrified that if the memory of human sacrifice survived, the brutal practice might one day creep back in. And the success of this cover-up is just mind-blowing. It lasted for nearly 3,000 years. The Zhou rewrote history, painting the last Shang king as just a generic evil tyrant, while carefully scrubbing out any mention of the state-sponsored human sacrifice. The new story was so convincing that it became the official truth for giants like Confucius and for every dynasty that followed, right up until 1899, when those oracle bones finally came out of the ground.
So how'd they pull it off? Well, they edited old texts, they reinterpreted things, they demonized the old Shang religion without getting into the gory details, they created the mandate of heaven to give themselves a moral high ground. Essentially, they ripped out the horrifying first chapter of their history and started the book with chapter 2, pretending the first one never existed. So, here's the most profound part of all this. The humanistic ideas of the Zhou, the moral philosophy of Confucius, everything we think of as the start of Chinese civilization, it wasn't a beginning at all. It was an end. It was a direct, intentional, and revolutionary reaction against a traumatic, bloody past that a culture deliberately chose to forget.
And that leaves us with this incredible question. The Zhou made a choice. They saw a religion of terror and they rejected it, building a new world on a foundation of humanism. Knowing that this celebrated philosophy was born from the ashes of such a brutal reality, how does that change the way we think about progress, about memory, and about the very nature of civilization itself?